Recently found footage of Bernie Mac gives us something to think about in the aftermath of his death. Yeah, it's been a while, but sometimes when something comes up, you see it, it kind of makes you go, maybe that was a reason? So, what was it? For some time now, we've talked to you about the Hollywood circle of influence, where if you don't do something that they say is necessary for your growth, you can easily find yourself on the short end of the stick with gigs, with pay, and sometimes, not all the time, with your life. Now, we are not saying, again, please, disclaimer, we are not saying that this is the reason for it. But just like any critical thinking human being, you got to assume that it may have had something to do with it.
Real steady.
Actually, on the lap, you're sitting. Did you wait?
No.
It would be her. Abby, isn't Jeremy on the other side? Where am I? I'm going to show you. Ow! He's actually going to sit on your lap. No? Okay. Do we have the alphabet?
You put your shoulder.
Do you have burning questions for Too Strong? Or perhaps you're seeking a special shout out for a birthday, job promotion, or any other occasion? Well, we got great news. We've got the perfect solution for you. Just click the link below and follow our very simple instructions and we got you covered. This link lets you send Too Strong a video with your questions or shout out details. We'll respond in kind with a video and you'll have it back in your hands within 72 hours. So don't hesitate. Click that link below and let's get started today.
The video shows him sitting down and a little kid coming to sit upon his lap, and he refuses to have this kid sit on his lap. Now, you can chalk this up to Bernie being an a-hole. I guess you could. Or Bernie not liking kids. I guess you could. Or you can chalk this up to Bernie being a man that don't like random children sitting on his lap because that ain't cool and he's not the father. Now, majority of men, with a child you don't know, much less in a public forum, you do not want to just have any random kid sitting, which I can't stand Santa Clauses in the mall, but I digress. Just sitting on your lap like you know them. You don't know who that person is. Why would you let your child sit on the instant you decide to come sit on my lap and I don't know who you are? Yeah, you can miss me with that. So I kind of sit with Bernie on that, no pun intended. But what, if any, correlation does that have with his demise? Well, there are multiple of comedians that at that time were towing the company line. And by company, I mean Hollywood. They would participate in multiple crazy things, wearing of the dress, saying certain kinds of jokes. And most of them had to do with either children or some other inappropriate content around the idea of children. If you are familiar with Bernie Mac, he was also very, in his jokes, mind you, in his jokes, I don't know what he was like in his personal life, but in his jokes, very anti-LGBTQ.
And the 6-year-old, he old homosexual. Oh shit! Don't no 6-year-old walk all like this here. Usually that's what's wrong with parents today. You act like you don't see shit, you don't know shit. You see your kid, you know your kid ain't no goddamn good. This boy's a 6 years old. He gonna be a sissy.
Now, unlike his counterparts, he did not give in when people told him he should do something. He even said that he was just not that kind of person. You can't make me do nothing. And it kind of lends to who he was really on stage as well. Another individual who knew Bernie Mac, and we've talked about him quite extensively on this channel, wasn't so rebellious against the Hollywood agenda. And that would be one Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, on the other hand, quite willingly gave in to those jokes, as is illustrated here.
I say, here's all you need to know. Whatever you do to my daughter, that's what I'm gonna do to you. So if I look outside and y'all kissing real hard, when you come in here, me and you gonna kiss real hard. I look outside and you cupping her. When you come in here, I'm cupping your. And I'm gonna open it too. While we kissing, little. I'm gonna spread your cheeks open while we kiss. I had his tongue in your mouth. That little guy, boy, was looking at him. I said, now imagine if you do something else to my little girl. I'm gonna do that to you too.
Now you can chalk that up to, hey man, calm down. It's just a joke. He don't mean nothing by it. But as you saw recently, his son is now dressing in a certain kind of way and he is embracing it. The two had very different approaches. One said, nah, you ain't putting me in that category. One even went so far as to make a joke of him doing something to a kid. One is here with us, one no longer. So what is the only, and I mean so far the only difference between the two? One decided to follow, one decided to stand still. And when you stand your ground, many things can happen to you when the world keeps moving around you. The demise of Bernie Mac is one that's a sad one. And people can say, well, he was sick, and this is not one you can chalk up to any foul play. There was nothing found, blah, 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 blah. Hollywood is known to destroy people. And I don't just mean destroy people physically, destroy you overall. Everything you got can be gone. In a heartbeat, it'll be gone. All because what? You don't do what they tell you to do. You want to get somewhere in this world? Do what we say, or you're out. Harvey Weinstein. You need this part? So is it far-fetched to think that Bernie Mac not giving in, but actually being successful? Here's the crazy part. He was successful. He was hilarious. People were endeared to him. He had shows going on, and all of it while not doing what they told him he should be doing. You can't have that. You can't have people coming in, defying your system while using your system and thrive. You can't have that. You have to make an example of that person. And the example could go, like I said, as far as removing them permanently off the face of the earth or relegating them to the back of the train. Now, if you remember correctly, the Kings of Comedy was a really big deal, right? It was, man, when I used to watch that, they had some classics on there. But when they found out that Bernie was sick, you realized that the tour started to suffer a little bit because what they had said for their own mouth, both Cedric and everybody, man, he was a show closer. You couldn't go after Bernie Mac. Don't even try. You're going to embarrass yourself. Now, what happens when your money is starting to be affected by the bottom line of your message? You have to pick. You got to pick. Do we want somebody that is powerful and influential without us? Or do we want him to be powerful and influential dead, and we can fit the narrative around anything we want? I know, tinfoil again, right? Okay, well, I'm going to give you a couple of examples and you can tell me if it's far-fetched. Okay, here we go. Young man growing up is hilarious. He can make people laugh without the aid of anybody else. People gravitate to him and he becomes famous. Big names come to him and said, hey man, I want you to do this, this, and this, and you get even more reach. And he says, like he said to the kid, no, you ain't gonna do that. No. Come on, black people, no. But he's still making ends meet and he's just moving. Meanwhile, you got other people that will push your message and they ain't getting as much traction. Bernie's in the way. Now Bernie's gone, and the people that can push a message are okay. Do you really think, hear me out, do you really think that the differences between Bernie and any other comedian at the time was so drastic in terms of what they would do, in terms of their jokes and who they were in person? Do you think it was so different that all the others would have caught up to Bernie? No. They were giving in to the system. Bernie was doing it without. Completely apart. Fans everywhere loved the guy. But he would not give in. Again, we are not saying that he was killed by Hollywood. We're not saying he was killed by anybody. From what we were told, it was a natural cause, an ailment he had been fighting with for forever. But we cannot shake this feeling that every time somebody does something that's successful without following the rules, something odd just happens to them. And we're not supposed to speculate. We're supposed to sit there and say, oh man, he was sick. It's such a sad situation. Every time? So I'm just supposed to take coincidence as the norm now? Look, with this footage that we found, and from what we know, and from what we can see, we can deduce that it may have had something to do with what happened. By who? Don't know. How? Don't know. But the end result bears some witnessing. The one person that wasn't using your way is gone, and quite a few of the ones that were using your way are still here. Now, you can take this information and do it with what you will, but we're just asking you to open your minds to the possibility that quite possibly someone was taken from among us because he would not give in to an agenda that is now being blown up in full force, and also being forced by some people who we thought were in our corner. Bernie may not have been the first, but I know for a fact he will not be the last. And I guess I keep saying, time will tell.